Thank you so much for having me here today, you guys. I really appreciate it. I'm here today because we are going to the playground tomorrow, right? Yes. How many of you have ever been to Mason Playground? No. Yes. Lots of you do sports there, right? We just put in this playground last spring. So it's one of our very newest playgrounds, okay? So you are going to be partnering with Miss Crowley's class and Mrs. P's class. Raise your hand if you're familiar with those students. How many of you have seen those students or have participated in activities with those students? Great. Okay. All right, hands down. Thank you. So let me tell you a little bit about Shane's Inspiration. That's who we're called. I'm from Shane's Inspiration, okay? And does anybody know anything about Shane's Inspiration? Have you heard of us before? Who are we? What do we do? What do you think? Anyone take a guess?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take care of playgrounds.
Yes, we build and create inclusive playgrounds, okay? That's kind of a big word, inclusive. It's kind of a big adult word. What do you think that word means, inclusive? Want to take a guess? What does inclusive mean? It's different than your neighborhood playground. Yeah.
I think it means like adding, like if we were adding people.
Yes, we're including everybody. We're adding everybody, okay? Way back when, in 1998, a mom and a dad and a dear friend, in memory of a little boy by the name of Shane, decided that they would build the first inclusive, accessible playground in the Western United States. That playground is called Griffith Park. Is anybody familiar? Shane's Inspiration at Griffith Park. Have you seen that?
I know Griffin's Park.
Yes, well, there's a big playground in there, and that is our very first playground, okay? They built that back in 1998. It took a couple years to build. We now have 59 playgrounds, 26 in LA. We have one in Juarez, Mexico, one in Ecuador, one we just opened in Sochi, Russia, okay, for the Winter Olympics last year. We have 3 in Canada, 1 in Israel, and multiples opening all around the United States. So we're not only local here with you guys, but we're national and we're international, okay? Pretty cool, right? Yeah. So why play? Why do you think play is so important? Why even bother building these inclusive playgrounds?
Because people could like exercise if they play, like children if they play sports, so when they stretch their muscles out so they could exercise and lose some calories.
Yes, play is very important for exercise. It's the number one way that children exercise, right? Is through play. Why else is play important?
Playing with friends, because like when you're like finished with something at your house and you have nothing to do, you could go outside and play.
Yes, it's fun, right? It's a fun thing to do when you're finished with homework or anything else around the house. Very good. It's fun, it's exercise. Why else is play important?
It's also important so you can stay active and
Yes.
lose calories.
Yes, because how do you build up your muscles and bones so they're strong? Through what? Through play, right? How do you get your brain ready so it's ready for critical thinking like math and reading? Through what? Through play. How do you make friends when you're little and even your age? Through what?
Playing.
Through playing, right? Isn't that how you guys make your friendships? You learn to share and cooperate with one another. Play is just as important as food, water, love, shelter that a child can have. And if a child is denied play, it can really, really impact them, okay? So that's what your field trip is about. We're going to get you together with those other 2 classrooms, Miss Crowley's and Mrs. P, and you're going to have a day of play at the playground, okay? I'd like to, we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I'd like to start out with a little free write. You don't have to worry about spelling or anything on this, okay? So I'm going to give out a free write. It's going to have 3 simple questions on it, and I'm going to read through it for you, okay? Just so you know what it's about, and if you have a question, then you can ask me before you start, okay? The first question is, what does the word disability mean? Oh, think about it in your head right now. Just think about it, because you're going to write it down right here, and then we'll have a conversation. Okay, that's the first question. What does the word disability mean? And if you don't know, take a guess, okay? Second one, when I see someone in a wheelchair, I feel. Okay, we all have feelings when we see someone in a wheelchair, or someone that moves differently, or communicates differently, right? We all have feelings about that. The last one, do you know someone with a disability? And if you do, feel free to write a few things about that person. It might be a family member, it might be a friend, okay? Write something down. If you don't know someone with a disability, you can just write no, okay? And when you're done, I want you to flip it over so that I can see that you're done, all right? This is a quiet write for you to get your thoughts down. And there are no right or wrong answers, okay? They're just your thoughts and input. Got one? All right, who would like to take a stab at that very first question? And it's okay if you're not done, okay? Let's look at the first question. What does that word disability mean right here? What does that word mean? Yes, in the way back.
I think it means you don't have the ability to do something.
Don't have the ability to do something, okay. Do you have an example of that? Like what, something that they might not be able to do?
Like when like if you're on a wheelchair or something, you can't run or walk or ride a bicycle. Well,
Okay. So maybe a physical challenge, right? And I heard can't do, so I'm going to put that down too, okay? Can't do. That's the number one answer I get, can't do. What do you think it means?
I think it means like if you were not able, like Justin said, like you're not able to do something. And I also want to add like if you were born like that, so not like if you have an accident, like if you were playing or like that, but if you were born, that's also like you have a disability to do something.
Yeah, so I heard two things going on there. I heard not able. Yep, I get that too. And I heard you say that sometimes you might be born with a disability, or sometimes you might have an accident that causes you to have a disability, right? A physical disability, yeah.
maybe when you lost a leg, you can't walk.
Yeah, that, or maybe if, when you lose, she says if you lose a leg, maybe you can't walk, right? There are some tools if someone doesn't have a leg, they lose a limb, it's called a prosthetic, right? Again, that goes along with the physical, yep. What else does disability mean? Anything? Any other thoughts on disability? I have not able, can't do, don't have the ability to do something that everybody else can do. Anything else? No? Okay, how about the next question? When I see someone in a wheelchair, I feel. Or if you see somebody who communicates differently, or if you see someone who behaves differently, how do you feel when you see that? Yeah.
When I see a person in a wheelchair, I feel sad.
Yes, I get that a lot. Why do you feel sad? Why do you feel sad?
Just because maybe something dangerous happened or something.
Maybe something dangerous happened to them, so it makes you feel for them? Yes. How do you feel? I'm gonna get someone on. Oh, how do you feel?
I feel sad because it's because we could walk and they can't.
Oh, okay. So I hear sad, but I also hear in your answer grateful for your abilities, maybe? You can walk, so that you're grateful, but it makes you sad because they can't, right? Yeah. I get that a lot too. Grateful, but sad. Anybody else want to add? How do you feel?
I feel sad because they don't get to do what we get to do.
Again, not able or can't do. Sad, right? Anybody feel nervous when you see someone in a wheelchair? Or nervous if you see someone who might be behaving differently, like hand flapping, right? If you see anybody do that, does that make you feel nervous? Raise your hand if you feel nervous when you see that different behavior. Yeah. Who would like to speak to that? Why do you feel nervous? Why do you feel nervous? No?
I feel nervous because I'm sometimes when I see those kind of people doing that, because I feel nervous because I really want to know like what happened to them, like why are they doing that, if something wrong with them.
Yeah, it makes you're curious, right? Yeah, so it's a little, because you're a little nervous. Maybe you're not used to being around that sort of behavior, right? Curious, how did they get that way? Were they born that way? Was it an accident? Mm-hmm. Yes, how do you feel?
I feel like weird when I'm around them because like they have like a different thing that we don't do. That, like some people just jump around.
Yeah, a different behavior that you're not used to. So does it make you feel unsettled a little bit? Yeah. Mm-hmm. How many of you feel that way? A little weird, a little unsettled about that. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else feel differently than sad, curious, grateful, unsettled, nervous?
I feel nervous because sometimes when I see them, I feel like something's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm. Happen to who?
Like to the people that are being living in there.
Like maybe they're going to have an outburst or something might make them upset, right? Yeah, we feel that. Not quite sure how to behave around them, huh? Yeah, that's common. Anybody feel scared?
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you feel scared. Who would like to speak to scared? Why do you feel scared? Yeah.
I feel scared because when you ask them, like, or the who's hanging out with them, like, it's kind of scary, like, to ask because then they'll, like, say why and all that, and then you'll get, like, all, like, scared and...
Because maybe you're not used to how they're answering you? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I also feel kind of sad because I feel like we're opposite.
Oh, like maybe you don't have anything in common? Yeah, anybody feel like that? Like you might be opposite than someone with a disability, that maybe you don't have anything in common? Yeah, that's a common feeling to feel. If somebody has a disability, can you catch their disability? Is it catchy? Can you catch that if you touch them? No. What do you think?
No.
No, you can't. Nope. So you don't have to be scared or nervous about that. Yes?
But like sometimes you could be scared because like when you get close to them or ask them a question like what happened to you, they might get mad and start hitting you or something.
You think they might be mad, but really it might be something else. It might be they're trying to communicate with you and they communicate in a different way through a movement, right? Right, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. One more, yes?
Some people might already communicate with sign language or writing on a piece of paper.
Yes, that's another way to communicate, through sign language or writing. Okay, very good. Do you know someone with a disability? Anybody know somebody with a disability? Someone who might use a wheelchair, someone who might communicate differently, maybe someone who has autism, Down syndrome. Anybody know anybody with a disability? Yeah.
I met this kid like in a wheelchair with the computer.
Oh, what was he doing with his computer?
Communicating with me.
Oh, wow. And how was that?
Because he was born sick.
Mm-hmm. He had an illness that affected his body in a way that he wasn't able to use his voice to communicate, right? So he used a computer. Was it different at first for you?
Different, yeah.
Did you get used to it?
Yeah, I got used to it.
Yes. And that's what your time with your buddies are going to be. Tomorrow you're going to get a chance to get to know your buddies in a different way through play, right? And then you become used to, right, to different forms of communication. Anybody else know somebody with a disability in the classroom? Want to share? No? No? Okay, well, thank you for that. Let's see, we've got thoughts, we've got feelings. If you don't know someone with a disability, which many of you say you don't, why do you think you feel sad, scared? If we don't know somebody and we don't have experience with somebody with a disability, why do we feel those feelings?
I went to this park and there was like a lot of people with wheelchairs and like that. So that's why when I see people I feel sad and nervous.
Well, let's talk about the person in the wheelchair, okay? If you feel sad and nervous, you see someone in a wheelchair and you feel sad and nervous, why are those feelings coming up?
Because maybe we feel bad for them because they went through a lot.
Because you think what? What do you guys think if someone's using a wheelchair maybe?
Maybe they got in a car crash or they lost a leg.
Thank you. Anybody else want to add to that? Yes. And you guys, from your definition, you said someone using a wheelchair can't do. Somebody said that back there. They can't do or they're not able. Do we know that they can't do something if they're using a wheelchair? Do we know that they can't play basketball or they're not able to play basketball? Do we know that for sure? Some people? What do we call that when we think somebody can't do something but we don't really know for sure? What do we call that?
Maybe.
We call that making a what? What is that called?
Disability.
Not quite. If we think that somebody in a wheelchair can't play basketball or is unable to drive a car, but we don't know for sure, we just think that way. What do we call that? That's a what? A thought or an assumption, right? Or an inference. I know 5th grade has learned about inferences, right? We make assumptions about them. We all do it, boys and girls. We make assumptions about people every day. You might have made an assumption about me when you walked in, right? Maybe with the length of my hair or my glasses, right? We all make assumptions. And so people who have a disability, we are always making assumptions about them, but we don't know for sure, right? We don't know if someone in a wheelchair can't drive a car or can't play basketball or can't even water ski, right? We make lots of those assumptions. Yeah, people who might have lost an appendage, 1 or 2 arms or legs, they are still able to do sports. Some of them, right? Some can, some can't, right? So we just talked about assumptions and how we always make assumptions about people with disabilities and what they can do and can't do. Let's play a really quick game about assumptions, okay? Let's see how much you know about people with disabilities and the things that they can and can't do. I'm going to need 10 volunteers. Okay, but listen first before you volunteer so you know what we're going to do. We're going to play a game, okay? I'm going to have 5 people stand on this side of me, 5 people stand on this side of me, okay? I'm going to put a bell here, and I'm going to have 2 people here closest to me, and I'm going to read a statement. And they're going to have to ring the bell the fastest if they either think it's true or false, okay? The first one that rings it first gets to answer. The rest of you guys, whatever that person answers, true or false, you're going to see if you agree with them, if you don't agree with them, or if you don't know, okay? Does that make sense? We're going to use nonverbal communication to play, okay? So I'm going to need 10 volunteers, 5 on this side, 5 on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Come on up here if I called you. 10. If I called you, you got to come up. So I need 5 on this side of me. Watch, there we go. Right here, stand here. 1, 2, can you make a line that way? Right here. You guys come this way. Do I have 5 on each side?
Yeah.
Okay, I need you in front, right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this is Family Feud style, okay? You guys are going to be the first one up. Okay, one hand down at your side. The one closest to this down at your side. Okay. Actually, both hands down. There you go. This at your back, this at your back. Okay, ready? When I read it, you're going to have to ring it and see if you think it's true or false, okay? People who use wheelchairs can't drive cars. True or false?
True.
Okay, he says people who use wheelchairs can't drive cars. Do you agree with him? Do you think it's true? Do you not agree with him, or do you not know? Okay. Let me see your thumbs. If you don't know, do this. If you agree with him and say that people who use wheelchairs can't drive cars, do that, okay?
No.
Or that. Okay, guess what, boys and girls? Some can and some can't. Remember, we just talked about that. Just because someone's in a wheelchair, it doesn't mean that they can't do the things that we can do. In fact, I have a friend, Jesse Bellauer, who actually drives his car, okay? He doesn't have use of his legs, okay, but he does have use of his arms, and his car is adaptable. So he is able to wheel up to his car, hoist himself up into his car, bring his wheelchair in, and everything is on the steering wheel, okay? Because he has use of his hands.
Oh.
Yeah, he can brake and gas and slow down everything on the steering wheel, okay? All right, thank you. You guys may go sit down. Here's the next one. Okay, ready? Ready? If you have a disability, you are sick. Good one. True or false?
True.
She says if you have a disability, you're sick. So if you agree with her, do that. She says if you have a disability, you're sick. So if you agree with her, do that. If you don't agree with her, do that. If you're not sure, do that. Okay. Well, we have some people are not quite sure. You know what? If you have a disability, you're not sick. You can't catch it. Here's what happens sometimes though. Somebody with a chronic illness like cancer, okay, or Parkinson's, it might affect their body in a way that they have to use a wheelchair or a walker, or it might affect the way they communicate, but they're not sick. I mean, a person with a disability is not sick, okay? You get it? All right, thank you. Here we go. Someone with Down syndrome is not sick. Someone with autism is not sick, okay? Children who have autism don't want friends. True or false? Oh, it looks like you got it. Children with autism don't want friends. True or false?
False.
Yeah.
Do you agree with him?
Yep.
If you agree with him, do this. You can agree or disagree with him. If you don't agree with him, do this. And if you don't know, do this. Right. Children with autism do want friends, boys and girls. Thank you. How many of you are familiar with autism? Raise your hand. Oh, good question. Thank you. Autism is a disability that affects a part of the brain that helps a person to socialize, okay? And it can also affect their senses. But autism doesn't affect one person the way it affects another person. It can affect people differently. So for instance, if somebody with autism, okay, might have a sensory challenge. If someone touches them, it might feel like 1,000 prickles to them, okay, because it's too much touch is too much for them. So if I were to go up to you and go, oh, how are you? And you were like that, you would right away think they didn't want to be your friend, right? It's not the case. It's just that they're not registering touch the way you are. So we have to figure out another way to say hello to them. Maybe just with our words, okay? Some people with autism, the lights might be too much for them, or noises might be too much for them, okay? A playground or a restaurant. So if you see somebody doing this, that means they're really sensitive to that sound, okay? So we have to find another way to play with them. Okay, here we go. Here's the next one. People with developmental disabilities like Down syndrome don't understand when others make fun of them. You're coveting that. True or false? True? He says it's true. He says people with Down syndrome don't understand when others make fun of them. Do you guys know what Down syndrome is?
No, yeah, that's true.
How can you tell somebody has Down syndrome? There is a way to tell. There is a physical challenge. How can you tell someone has?
If they're acting kind of like weird, like.
Well, they might not be acting weird. They might be acting in a different way that you're not used to, okay? Someone with Down syndrome, you can tell by their distinct facial features, okay? They might need a little more time to answer a question. They might need a little more time to think about that question, okay? But they can do everything that you guys can do, and they can understand everything. It just takes them a little while longer, okay? So they do understand when people make fun of them. Thank you. Okay, last one, guys. Are you ready? People who can't speak don't understand what you say to them. Good job. True or false?
Can you read the question again?
Yes. People who can't speak, they can't use words to speak, don't understand what you say to them.
False.
He says it's false. Do you agree with him or disagree? Yeah, that is false. Just because someone doesn't have the use of their using words to communicate, it doesn't mean it affects the way they're thinking, okay? A lot of your buddies may use a few words at the playground tomorrow from the other two classes, or they may use no words, but they understand exactly what you mean. And we'll find different ways to communicate with them, okay? All right, have a seat, guys. Thank you for playing that game. Good job. How many people are up for a video? We're gonna watch a video. Let me tell you what this video is about, okay? We just played again a game on assumptions and disabilities, okay? We're going to watch a video about 3 friends of mine, okay? Spencer, Jessica, and Kai, okay? They all live with a disability, but they bust through all those assumptions that we just talked about in that game, okay? And you're gonna get to see how they do that. They're just gonna bust through all of those, and you can see how they can do everything that you can do, okay? And when you're done watching it, we're gonna have a conversation. Okay. Does that sound good? Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Now, we can put his legs on, and he can go out and walk on his own. wants to do. He's the way that it is. He knows where that came from. And you should probably ask him what he likes.
Are you okay?
Legs. And with those legs, he can walk in a way that he never could prior to all the surgeries. Now, we can put his legs on, and he can go out and walk on his own. I think we all have.
I like the blue swings. Oh, tooth nice. On a playground, we get a chance to see past our disabilities.
Okay, wow. Sounds like you guys have lots of thoughts about my friends. I'm gonna put back up here what I had just so we can continue our conversation. Who would like to talk about Spencer? What are your thoughts on Spencer? I think we had scared here, sad, nervous, curious. Over here you said can't do, unable, right? And we had some physical stuff. You defined it as physical challenges, okay? Let's talk about Spencer. What are your thoughts on Spencer?
He's cool.
Why is he cool? What makes you, you're right, he is very cool.
Because,
Give me an example of coolness.
Because he knows how to, he's like an artist.
He is an artist. Is there anybody else who is an artist in this classroom? Has something in common? Yeah, you have something in common with Spencer, right? Anything surprise you about his abilities? Yeah.
That he can play basketball and
He's an athlete. Mm-hmm.
they could put him on the legs.
Yes, he has prosthetic legs.
And he could go play outside with his friends.
Yes, and kind of an update on Spencer. He can wear his prosthetic legs if he wants to, but I hear that he chooses not to. He moves around better and is freer without them. So he tends to use them without or maybe a wheelchair sometime. Yeah, it's his choice. Yes, he's able to move around just like everybody else and he's an athlete. What about Spencer's attitude? What about his attitude? What's he like? What do you think? Yes. What's his attitude?
He's like really playful and outgoing.
He's outgoing. He's playful. Would you say he's confident? Would you say he's confident? He tries everything, doesn't let anything stop him. Would you say that? That's a new word, huh? Confident. Yeah, I would say he's confident. Yeah. Yeah. Now, your buddies that are coming to play with you from Miss Crowley's class and Mrs. P's class, none of them have any physical challenges. There might be a few kids who have some stability challenges, right, where they might move a little slower, but they're all using their legs, okay? So if you're partnered with those children with some stability challenges, I would like you to make sure that we support them, right? Offer a hand as they're going up a ramp or some steps, okay? But we don't have any children using wheelchairs or walkers like Spencer did. But yeah, he's really confident, right? He's very confident. What about Jessica? What are your thoughts on Jessica?
She likes karate and
She's an athlete, right?
She's good at answering questions and she likes playing.
Say that again?
She's good at answering questions and she likes playing.
Yes, she's talking about her communication skills. She is good at answering questions. How does Jessica answer questions? That's a good thing that you brought up. What did you notice about Jessica? How does she answer questions? Yeah.
I mean, she answers questions normally, but she kind of like talks kind of like slower. But I also wanted to add like she's good karate. She's in good karate.
Yes, she wins a lot of medals for karate. She's an athlete. But you're right, she does. It takes Jessica a little while longer to think through a question. She answers a lot of her questions with yes or no, which is very good. So if you have a buddy who is using a few words, a good tip for you when you're talking to buddy, use questions that are yes or no questions. Like, do you want to go to the swings, right? Instead of, hey, where do you want to go play? Right? Because somebody who doesn't use a lot of words, that might be a little more challenging. So you can use yes or no questions. Do you remember at the end of the video when they said, you want to play, Jessica? And what did she say? Yes, right? Somebody used a yes-no question for her, right? So she understands everything. She just needs a little more time. And like her dad said, you just need to explain things to her and be patient, okay? What about Kai? What are your thoughts on Kai? Oh. Yes?
That he rode on a horse and won.
Yes. Yes, he's an athlete too, right? He's riding horses. He uses horses as therapies for him. So anything he practiced on with the horses, like touch, right? Touching someone or something, he learns that and then works with his friends that way, right? Because remember we talked about autism, that sometimes people with autism may not like to be touched, right? There are some people with autism where you touch them and they're not registering that touch at all. They don't even feel it. And those are your buddies that maybe run a lot and you have to give them a little bit of a firmer handshake and say, come on, let's play, right? Because they're just not even feeling that touch at all, okay? So sometimes it can work both ways, right? Yes?
So like when they like have like what do you call it?
Autism?
Yeah, autism and you can't feel it. Do you have to squish?
No, you don't have to squish them. It's just a firm hand. Say, come on, let's play. Sometimes they're the ones that need the bear hugs because they're trying to just get that touch into their body, into their nervous system. Because again, they're not registering touch the way we do, okay? All our friends like to use little tactile balls so they can touch. At our playgrounds, we have lots of sensory panels. So get your buddies up onto the equipment and feel the sensory panels because they're going to really like that. They want to register touch. Yes?
Kai is very helpful.
Say that again?
Kai is very helpful.
You brought up a really good point. Did you guys hear that? Kai is very helpful. What did Kai do that shows that he's thinking of his community and his friends? What did he do? Let me see if I can get somebody that hasn't answered. I'm going to pick on someone that hasn't answered yet. What did Kai do to help his community? I'm going right to you. What does Kai do?
Kai, he like.
Do you remember what he was doing in Cub Scouts? What was he doing?
Oh, he was making 300 blankets.
Yes, for the children, right? Who don't have blankets or homes, right? I'm glad you brought that up. Kai thinks of his community and does everything that he can do to help others. There's so many times, boys and girls, where we always think, that's an assumption again, that we always have to be the ones to help people with disabilities. Not so. They want to help others too, and they have the ability and the capacity to help others. Okay? So that's called reciprocity. And you're going to see that a lot with your buddies. You're going to see that they're going to want to lead you through the playground. They're going to want to play what they want to play. Okay? You don't have to babysit them. You just get to play with them. Okay? You share in the play and they'll share in the play. Okay? That's the goal for tomorrow. Yes?
We also thought himself that the people that their only feel bad for them.
Yeah, he has emotions too, right? He feels for them too and has a heart. He's very helpful. Yes. Yep, exactly. Now what would you like to say?
Actually, when we play soccer, there's like two people that are from special ed come play soccer.
Have you been playing with them? Yeah. Two people. Are they from Mrs. P's class?
Yeah.
They're good.
Well, here's what's going to be the best thing about your field trip with Mrs. P's class and Mrs. Crowley's class. Your field trip is actually going to last all year long, okay? Because they're on campus with you. So you're going to be doing things, I've heard from the other teachers, hopefully to integrate and do some fun activities. Like maybe you might want to suggest, hey, can we play soccer with them, right? On campus, maybe for a recess time. okay? I'm glad you noticed that and took notice. Yes, they have the same abilities that you do. So let's look at these words. Artist, athlete, outgoing, confident, helpful. Now let's look at the words that we started with. Can't do, unable, physical, scared, sad.
Nervous.
Are these words the same? No. What are different about them? Raise a hand. What are different about these words from these words on the outside of the circle? What's different? Yes?
They're different because the ones on the outside are not like good. Not if you would say it to them, maybe they would think of it like maybe it'll seem offensive to them. And the ones in the inside of the circle, I think the kids with disabilities would like.
Yes.
And they felt comfortable with.
Yes, you're hitting on it. She says the words on the outside are sort of a negative connotation, right? And these are the words, boys and girls, those are our feelings. Those are our assumptions about people with disabilities. These words on the inside, which are more positive, like you said, are actually the way people with disabilities are. When you take the time to get to know somebody with a disability, you'll see that they can be helpful, confident, joyful, athletes, artists. We don't stop, and we shouldn't stop. When we meet someone with a disability, we shouldn't stop at just their disability, what they look like or what they act like. We need to take the time to get to know them for who they are on the inside, right? And you'll see that who they are on the inside are all these cool things, okay? And that's what your field trip is going to be about tomorrow. So let's talk about your field trip, okay? You're going to get the chance to get to know friends from Mrs. Crowley's class and friends from Mrs. P's class. Mrs. Crowley's class are the littler ones, they're K and first, and Mrs. P's class are 2nd through 5th, okay? So you're gonna get the chance to play with them. You guys are gonna be picked up by bus, okay? And you're going to be taking, all 3 classes are gonna ride the bus together, okay? Hold on, I'm gonna answer your questions, let me get through it, and then anything I haven't answered, you can raise your hand, okay? So the bus is gonna pick you guys up, and you're all gonna ride the bus together, right over to Mason Park in Chatsworth, okay? It is one of our newest playgrounds, like I said. I will meet you there, okay? Myself and somebody else from Shane's Inspiration will meet you there, okay? I would have already set up bubbles, sidewalk chalk, balls, everything besides that beautiful equipment, okay? All of those things you're going to use to help you connect and discover with your buddy from the other classrooms, okay? That being said, once you get there, we're gonna put all our lunches and everything that we brought by the table. We're gonna sit down and we're gonna have a small meeting about the rules and the guidelines of the playground, okay? Boundaries, things like that, okay? We're also going to partner you guys, okay? 2 to 1. That means 2 of you guys from this class with 1 of them. But that being said, you have to be flexible because we might end up having somebody one-on-one. If we have a little kindergartner, we might put 1 person with one 5th grader with 1 kindergartner. Because sometimes when they're that little, it's a little too much to have 2 big kids with them. So we're gonna be flexible, okay? Does that make sense? So we're gonna partner you guys and we're gonna have buddy groups. Those are those buddy groups, 2 to 1. I would like for you to stay in your buddy groups. I would like for you to take that time to get to know that buddy from the other classroom, okay? Does that mean though that buddy groups can't play together? What do you think?
Yeah, good.
Yes, you can. Buddy groups can play together, but I don't want you leaving your buddy group, okay? I don't want to see you guys by yourself, and I don't want them to be left by themselves. It's a day of play together, okay? I will also bring a parachute. I'll be striking up some group games with a parachute and maybe some relays on the court, okay? You'll eat lunch at 11:30. I encourage you to eat lunch with your buddies. That's another great experience and fellowship. It's great. Okay, get to know your buddy through conversation while you eat, okay? Once lunch is over, you'll have more time to play, and then we'll gather and we'll say our goodbyes, okay? It's a long day. I think you guys are probably gonna be there till at least 12:30 or 1 o'clock, okay? So it's a long day, and you're not that far from the playground, so you're gonna get lots of playtime, okay? Any questions about the day? Yes?
Can we can we play and eat with also our friends?
Sure, how about you try buddy groups first? So if you're in a buddy group different than a friend from in here, why don't your 2 buddy groups eat together?
Yeah.
Try that, okay? That way your friends from the other classrooms are still included, okay? Yeah, and you guys need to be detectives. You gotta remember how you were like when you were little and how you created games and invented games. And you have to be a detective. If your buddy is not using words, how are you gonna communicate with them? You can see if they know any sign, play, stand, simple ones. Their teachers will tell you. How else? How else do you communicate it with them?
You could tell them like play, and then they'll take a shake their head.
Yes or no questions where they can shake their head or answer. Great. What else?
Maybe you could tell them to write down their teacher.
You could ask. You could see if they have that ability.
See the teacher understands what they're saying.
Yes, exactly. I'll have little cards too where you can point to swings and stuff. Sometimes that's helpful, okay? You can look at facial expressions, boys and girls. You can tell a lot by how they're feeling or what they need through facial expressions, and they're gonna be watching your facial expressions too, okay? Here's what I do require. When you are on the play equipment, I ask that you be good models and good stewards of the equipment, okay? No going up the slide, use the stairs or the ramps, okay? Can you guys do that? Because your buddies are gonna copy you, and we don't want anybody to get hurt. So you have to use the equipment in the right way, okay? Does that make sense? Yes. And any materials, bubbles, anything that you guys are using, balls, when you're done using them, you just return them back. And we'll go through all of this together. Let's hold your questions till tomorrow, because we'll have more at the playground, okay? It's an easy one? All right, go ahead. How can I do that? Oh, we're gonna find their teachers. Okay, I have a first aid kit, they have first aid. Sometimes, you know, kids fall, they might get a little scratch. It's okay.
Like last year, we had our teacher in first grade. We actually went with those special kids. We went to the library and helped them with their math.
So you have some experience with them already. So you can use all the tools that you that you learned here and that you did last year to communicate and connect. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Hold your questions till tomorrow. I'll meet you at the playground. Okay. Thank you so much. Can my people who passed out the papers collect them for me? That would be great.